last time we opened a pack of Innistrad Remastered. We said we'd do another one, but I just want to check how are you doing on time? Because I have about 20 minutes, which should probably be enough for it. But if we don't do it now, it'll be a few weeks, which is fine by me. But would you want to? Do you want to? Do you want to? Do you want to do some crack?
We can do it now. Let's do it now. We are here. 20 minutes should be more than enough to open a pack.
So here's our second pack of Innistrad Remastered. That's pretty cool. All right, let's have a look at it. All right. Side here. Okay. So starting out with Angelic Purge. As an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice a permanent, exile target artifact, creature, or enchantment. So it's a spot removal.
Yeah, it's a bad one.
Bad one because it's expensive.
But I mean, there's several downsides to this. Can you spot them?
Yes, so first it's expensive. Second, as an additional cost to cast a spell, I have to sacrifice a permanent. So that's a big cost.
So
And
actually,
and then
the biggest detriment to this is the fact that it's a sorcery.
oh, okay, because so it's not an instant.
Yeah, because I mean, sacrificing a permanent, depending on your deck, it can be difficult, but it's any permanent that you have. These days, it can be a food, a clue, a treasure, a 0/1 creature that you created. So it's that's not the real. I mean, it's not a great part, but it's the biggest thing here is it's a sorcery. So you can't do it in response to something. So you have to
Mm,
do it on your turn. You can't keep the mana up because exiling an artifact, creature, or enchantment is a pretty good effect. And I would pay 3 for that. But I want the flexibility of it being an instant so I can do it when someone is trying to get their combo off. So that's
gotcha,
the reason why I would consider it a bad one.
gotcha. Okay, cool. Second is oh, another imprisoned in the moon.
Awesome. Just awesome.
Yeah, we had that last time. So basically, just to say a way to make something that somebody else has that's big and bad, essentially just lock it up in the moon, and they can't recast it, they can't put it in the graveyard, they can't do whatever. Enchant a
Yeah.
creature, land, or plane. Can I imprison a commander? Yeah, I can, right?
Yes. If
Oh,
it's a
that's awesome.
commander a creature, then yes.
Yes. Interesting. Yeah, definitely. All right, well, very cool. Eaten alive. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature or pay three colorless and 1 black mana. This is so let me see if I can guess. There are many better ones. This is not a good one, right? Because even though it's cheap, I have to sacrifice a creature or pay additional, which means it's actually costs me 5 at the very least, and it's limiting. It can only exile a target creature or planeswalker, correct?
Yeah, I mean, but
And it's a
again, the biggest downside,
sorcery.
sorcery. Because in black, you have multiple ways to remove things, and many of them ask you to sacrifice a creature. So actually, in black, sacrificing a creature is nothing new, right? So it's not a bad thing because sometimes you actually want that. Um, but and it's exiling a creature or planeswalker. So in black, exiling a creature is actually more difficult. In white, it's rather easy. In black, it's usually destroy. So it's an exile effect, so therefore it's better than the white card. It costs 1 at face value, which is good, and then sacrificing a creature is not bad. And I would just ignore the pay 3 and a black, quite honestly. You would always sacrifice a creature to pay this for 1. But again, the biggest downside for me is the sorcery part of it. You have in your collection even like the Infernal Grasp, just destroy a creature at
Hmm.
instant speed for 2 is just better than this because of the fact it's instant, right? And this is a sorcery. But the exile part is attractive in the black color pie.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. Next we have Epitaph Golem, artifact creature. Spend 2 mana, put target card from your graveyard on the bottom of your library.
There are a couple of cards in the game that allow you to look at the bottom of your deck, but I still wouldn't put this in there. I think you would want to shuffle your deck or something like that.
Yeah.
But essentially, it's like you have something on the field that doesn't have to tap, that you can put something from your graveyard back into your library. So that's one way. But I think it's just overcosted for what it does. I don't think you would play this.
Well, and it's a 3/5, which means if you had it in like a reverse deck, like what I have, right? Like the one I was just playing, Abs and Armor. Although Abs and Armor, yeah, this could go into Abs and Armor because it's colorless, right? So you could
Yeah,
put it there, which means it would be a 5/3 effectively. So
no,
that's
it's a
fine.
five in that deck. It's a 5/5 because it doesn't exchange
Oh, that's right.
your. It
Yeah, so
just
it's a
uses its butt to hit. It doesn't
so,
take the butt away. So
gotcha.
it's
Yeah.
playable there, but I think you can get something that is a 0/5 for two, right?
Mm,
You would pay 5 for a 5/5, which is very vanilla, and the ability is very, 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 very niche. I mean, even in the decks that can use this effectively, they wouldn't. So yeah,
right. Yeah, so very niche, not really the best thing here. All right, next one is Ambush Viper. Oh, that's cool.
fantastic card. This is
That is
just an
awesome.
amazing card.
Yeah, why? Okay, let's see if I can spot it. Number one, only costs you 2 mana, only one of them being a color. That's awesome. Second, it's a snake, which is awesome. I'm just kidding. Second is it's got flash and it's got death touch. So we've learned before, you've told me, anything with death touch, yeah, because it doesn't really matter like how much damage you inflict, that creature dies, whoever you touch. And of course, flash means essentially it's like an instant for creatures. So
Yeah,
very,
it's a
very
surprise.
powerful.
It's a surprise blocker. You're attacking me with your 15/15 that doesn't trample, and it would kill me. Here, before I declare blockers, I'm going to flash this in, put it in front, and I'm going to kill you 15/15. So, and you
Yeah.
didn't see it coming. And of course, the art is on point.
Yeah,
It's
the art is
fantastic.
awesome. Yeah.
This is a fantastic card, and it's even, I mean, the most surprising thing for the time is that this is a common. It is at the common rarity. So this is just an amazing card, and you would put you can put this in any deck that has green.
Yeah. There's no downside at all. Like there's no
None.
nothing. It's cheap. It's I mean it's actually really cool if you put it in a deck where you get like offspring. I mean that's ridiculous. Like I'm
Yes.
contemplating, but actually the Bard deck of Bloomburrow doesn't have green. It doesn't have green in it.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, so it wouldn't work for that. But that's nifty. This might go in my dinosaur deck with the with
Yep.
the big guy.
It, yeah, it can go in there, and it can also very be effectively used in your Egra deck.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
cool.
it's an amazing card.
And I agree, very nice art. Okay, next we have Gather the Townsfolk. Another sorcery. Create 2/1/1 white human creature tokens. Fateful Hour. If you have 5 or less life, create 5 of those tokens instead. Okay. Well, first of all, again, we have a sorcery, right? So not as good as an instant. We only want the instants. Overall, not bad. Create 2 more creatures, 2 more blockers. There's lots of things you could do with that. And then the idea to whip this out when you are like on your back foot, not bad, but I would imagine because it's not instant, less of a surprise factor. And plus, if you're down to 5 or less, you're probably in much bigger trouble.
Yeah, I mean there's ways for you out of it because you can gain life back when creatures enter. There are decks that want this effect. Um, And there are across many expansions, there are several things that create two creatures for 2 mana. So it's situationally good for in the right deck. So if you want to play a white deck that's based on small creatures, you would put that in there just to have a board presence because 2/1/1s can still block, right? And if you want many creatures, then as you keep, I would keep this in a deck where I don't have any of the other cards that create me more stuff yet, right? So this is a good baseline for a deck where you want to create small creature tokens. So yeah, and then find just the next best version as soon as you can to upgrade it. Instant would make this better, but it's not a bad card depending on your collection level, right? So
Yeah, again, I'm
it's
thinking
simple
about the
that
Bard. Yeah, I'm thinking about the Family Matters deck out of like Bloomborough because your commander grows with every 1/1 creature that you build, so it would be right at home there.
yeah, there would work just because it creates 1/1s and Zinnia likes 1/1s. Yes, it can work there effectively. Yes.
Cool.
There it wouldn't matter that it's a sorcery, right?
Mm,
Because you would play this before you attack with Zinnia to grow Zinnia by 2, right? So for 2 mana, you create 2 bodies and you give +2/+0 to Zinnia. So there, it's not a combat trick, it's not a surprise, but it's effective, right? So it can be used there.
cool. Next is the Hinterland Logger. And on the flip side, we have the Timberland Shredder. So it's another werewolf situation.
Yeah, it wants to go in the werewolf deck if you don't have better werewolves.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's a 2/1 for 2.
yeah,
It's not impressive.
I hear
Even
you.
if you flip it, it's a 4/2 that's all it does, right? So not much utility here. If you don't have better werewolves and you're building a werewolf deck, put it in there.
Gotcha. Next is the Boarded Window for 3 mana, an artifact. Creatures attacking you get -1/-0 at the beginning of each end step. If you were dealt 4 or more damage this turn, exile this artifact.
So yeah, just make sure that creatures attacking you are small. In a deck where you want to build around Elish Norn, this can work. Because if Elish Norn is on the table and this, then creatures attacking you have -3, -2. That effect that if you were dealt 4 more damage this turn, it doesn't care if it was combat damage or not. So if someone just throws a couple of lightning bolts or direct damage at you, you have to exile this artifact. You can't even get it back. The downside is just way too punishing. I think
Yeah,
there are better cards that protect you.
yeah, agreed. All right, Deadly Allure for 1 black mana. Sorcery. Target creature gains death touch until end of turn and must be blocked this turn if able. And then there's Flashback. You may cast this card from your graveyard for its flashback cost, then exile it. Okay. So, first of all, to give someone death touch, not bad for 1 mana, right?
Mhm.
So, and
So
also it says you must be blocked this turn, which means I could use a really small creature, give it death touch, throw it at you, and you have to block it. So you can't just like take the damage so to avoid having a creature die. So in a situation where someone would only have like one really cool big creature or whatever, like a key, let's say you have a key situation where you need to block, but you need that piece, then it could be pretty good. But it still is a sorcery, right? So I'm assuming they're better cards.
Well, yes, the effect is good and can be used just as you say, and that's the way I would use it. It's also cool that the flashback is green, so you can put it in a green black deck. But given that it is a sorcery, it's like, yeah, I mean, if this was instant, this would be better because then I can do it after blocks are declared, but before damage is dealt. So they can't see it coming and they overcommit. So if this was an instant, it would be way better. But it
Gotcha.
can be used, as you say, to create a situation where your small creature has to be blocked by the big one on the other side. Yeah, it can be used like that. So it has niche uses, but I think you would go for something. I think you would go for a direct kill spell
Hmm.
rather than see if you can remove something by attacking. Right? Just take that variable. If they give it indestructible or they find a way to not have any blockers available. There's ways around this, even if you make it be blockable, right? So if it was an instant, it would be way harder to deal with. But
Hmm.
as a sorcery, I think there are better options. But it's a cool effect nonetheless.
Yeah, and it's not very expensive, so that's cool too.
Hmm.
Okay,
Oh,
Somberwald
wonderful.
Sage.
Great card in
At
creature
three
decks.
mana of any color, spend this mana only to cast creature spells. So that's an annoying so restriction, but still, you basically spend 3 mana to get 3 mana, but consistently. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so in a creature-heavy deck or something that revolves entirely around creatures and has very like my, for example, my mono green deck. I used to play this when I had a different commander, but since I now play a commander that puts things into play, I don't need the super acceleration anymore. It's very
Hmm.
good in creature decks. Very nice to have in your collection.
Yeah, it looks really cool. And I like the art, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I
Great
like the
art.
owl. That's really cool. All right, I'll put that over here.
It also has other animals in the background if you didn't see,
Oh yeah, no, I didn't see that. That's cool. I'm looking at it. We have the owl, and then there's like a wolf, I imagine.
and a bear behind the owl.
Oh wow, look at that. Cool. All right. Nifty. All right, then we have Mausoleum Wanderer for 1 mana. Creature spirit that's flying, always nice. Whenever another spirit you control enters, this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Sacrifice this creature, counter target instant or sorcery spell unless its controller pays X, where X is the creature's power. Is this creature's power? Okay, so that's actually pretty nifty, especially if I can make this one stronger.
Yeah, but it's not so bad that it's a 1/1. So you can sacrifice this creature and you counter a spell unless the controller pays 1, right? So it's a 1/1 for 1 that flies. It can grow itself if spirits enter, and then it can potentially counter a spell. So where is this good? Essentially any blue deck that wants to play counter spells or a dedicated spirit deck.
Hmm.
So this is, I mean, just a 1/1 for 1 with flying is already pretty decent,
Hmm.
and there's not really anything bad about this card. But it does, since it grows based on spirits, you can tell that it wants to be in a deck with more spirits to be like an effective attacker. But if you just want a body that can be a counter spell, even if it is limited into what it can count, like the counter spell can be countered, if you will, right? By paying the amount of mana. So this is not a bad card, but you want it in the right synergies, meaning these
Yeah,
spirits.
with more
Mhm.
spirits. Yeah, very cool. I'll move this over here. All right, here we have some alternate older border art. Mystic Retrieval. Return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand, and it's got flashback to red. So I guess because it's red, it means I can put it in a red and blue deck, right?
Yes, exactly. For
That's something
commander.
I
Yes,
learned
but
today. Yeah. Now, of course, it's a
yeah.
sorcery and it's expensive, but not bad, I suppose. If you had like, say, if I had a deck that was very heavy on sorceries and instants, then this would be really good.
Yeah, there's also what you can do is like discard this for some reason, and then the flashback is cheaper than actually casting it, right? So either you get
Oh.
two uses out of it because the flashback is you cast it from your graveyard and then you exile it. So
Mhm.
either you get to play it twice, or you play it for cheaper from the graveyard. But this effect to return a target instant or sorcery is very good. Can it be found cheaper in mana cost? Yes, it can. Is it widely available? No, it's not. So that's another consideration. Like how many of these effects are there? So this is one of those cards where, like, if you want the effect to return an instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand, and you don't have the better cards available, this is a good placeholder for you to upgrade as you get more cards. This effect is very, very desirable, and I don't have this card. It's not in my collection. If it was, I have at least 2 decks that want it, because I also don't have an upgraded version of this. And even if I did, I might still run multiple of this effect because I want it. Instant sorceries are your removal pieces, right? Your board wipes, your card draw. There's just so many instants and sorceries that you want to use multiple times, but since there can only be one copy, this essentially gives you another 1 or 2 copies of an instant or sorcery into your hand, right? Sure, it costs
Cool.
mana, but it's an effect that is not super widely available. So it's a good card to have in your collection.
Very cool. All right. We're getting towards the end here. Here's our
Oh, oh,
rare Memory
get that
Deluge.
back.
Huh?
with Mystic Retrieval, you can get this one back from your graveyard.
So
Just read the Memory Deluge, and
yeah,
then
yeah. We spend this and do that. So let's read Memory Deluge. So a Memory Deluge, a instant. I think it's the first one we've had in this pack. For 2 blue and 2 colorless. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast this spell. The top X cards of your library, where the X is the amount of mana spent to cast this spell. So 4 in this case. Put 2 of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Wow, that's pretty good right there, just by itself. And then you set flashback, so you can spend it one more time for another 7. So you cast it again. Oh, so this is actually cool because this means if I have Mystic Retrieval, let's say I played Memory Deluge, I get 2 cards, right? And I get to choose those 2 cards out of 4, which is great. Then it goes into my graveyard. Then I spend Mystic Retrieval to get it back, right? And then I can spend it again, and it has a flashback. That means I can potentially play Memory Deluge 3 times in one game.
you can play it 4 times with Mystic Retrieval
How would I do that? Oh,
because
because I
Mystic
can. Oh,
Retrieval
because
has
I can get.
flashback.
Because I can have Mystic Retrieval as well. Yeah, so up to 4 times. So that's
So
pretty crazy.
yeah, and if the reason why it says look at the top X cards is because it costs 4 to cast from your hand. It costs
Ah,
7 to cast from your graveyard. So if you cast it from your
cool.
graveyard, you look at 7 cards and keep 2. So
Nice.
there's it's and the thing here is it's in so it's this is card selection, right? So if you call this digging, right? So you're digging for an answer, you're digging for an option, you're digging for a combo, whatever, right? So you dig the first time 4 cards deep, but with the flashback it's 7. So there's thing this is part of combos actually, or used to be. Nowadays there are different cards, but this is a nice foil rare to get.
Yeah, and it's
Uh,
a like you said. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, you can put this to use in the Jeskai Strikers deck, the one that you got from Dragonstorm, because yeah, that deck wants to cast multiple spells. So this thing, of course, it's big mana, but it gives you selection. I really like this card.
That's a good one. All right, and then we have a swamp, an
Oh,
old swamp.
Swamp looks great.
Does look great. Let's walk into it. A great looking swamp. And then that's it. And we just have a token. Build your own token. All right, let's have a look. So basically, we ended up with, I'm just trying to recollect the ones where you went, oh, nice. So we started with the Ambush Viper, art on point, card on point, very nice. And we had a second Imprisoned in the Moon, very nice, very useful. And then we had the Mausoleum, well, actually, in order of what was cool, Memory Deluge, very cool. And then we had the Mystic Retrieval in the older art. Very nifty, especially when comboed. Then we had the Somberwald Sage, which gives us 3 mana of any one color. And I can spend it only for a creature deck. So for the creature deck, it's great, but still very nice. And then we had, I think, the Mausoleum Wanderer was the one that we were liking after that. Again, more limited to be used in a spirit deck, ideally, but very nice. And then I guess Gather the Townsfolk is kind of like a step behind that for potentially using it, but it really wasn't one we were super excited about, but it's kind of the tail end of it. Is that about correct?
Yeah, I mean I mean you have to evaluate the cards not just based off what they do, but also what is available to you, right?
Right.
So are the cards good? Well, if you never had them before, then yeah, it's excellent because you're fleshing out your collection, right?
Correct.
So and it's good to recognize that sometimes these cards are great and they were great for their time, and nowadays because of power creep and reprintings and just upgrading you get the same effect but cheaper, or you get this an effect with an added color or with another effect tacked on top of it, which is good in a sense. Like if you can get the older cards that are inexpensive, because now there are better versions of it. You can start building your deck with older bulk, and
Hmm.
then as you get the newer cards, you just upgrade. Okay, so this is in a direct upgrade, right? I get the exact same thing, but it's 1 mana cheaper. So, okay, right away, I get the new card that's 1 mana cheaper. It makes it better, right? But the effects, right? Right now, you just, fleshing out or starting a collection, you don't have any of it. So you just slot them in, and then as soon as you find the one that's maybe like gather the townsfolk, costs you 2 to create 2, and it has an upside for when you're low on life. Okay, it's a sorcery. So maybe the upgrade, it costs 3 mana, but it's an instant. And it doesn't have any other upside, but just the instant is might be more valuable than the higher mana cost. So there are sometimes the upgrade path is unclear because it depends where you put it.
Yeah.
But creating creatures is not a bad thing, especially if you're considering building like a creature deck, or you already have a small creature deck that likes 1/1s. Then
Hmm.
yeah. So building a collection like from scratch is like everything is good, uh, but maybe you already have something better. So it's then comparing, like, I have the same effect, so what's different between these two cards? Do I want to use both? Right? Do I want to use both because it's a redundant effect that I wanted? Many
Yeah.
times things with flashback are just good, right? Because you get to use the card twice. And here you got two pieces that work well together, or at least could work well together. In blue and red, you probably saw it in that deck as well. You have reduction for instants and sorceries,
Yeah.
right? You get to remove it. They cost you 1 less, or blue spells cost you 1 less. So especially in blue and red, you're like, oh well, I'm not gonna pay for the retrieval, for the mystic retrieval. I'm actually gonna pay 2. I'm gonna pay 1 blue to cast it, and then that's just way better, even if it's not a sorcery, if it's not an instant.
Hmm.
So the context is important, and sometimes you have to look at the effect. So the effect is great. How viable is it? Well, it depends on your collection and also on the deck. And if you can reduce the cost of it, even better, right? So as a whole, I think that was a great pack to open
Yeah.
for utility for the different things that you have currently available.
Hmm.
And there were what, 15 cards in that booster?
14. Yeah.
14, and out of the 14, we discussed 6 of them at length.
Yeah.
So that's
It's almost half.
yeah. So just by virtue of that, I think it was a great pack to open.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thanks so much for doing that. That was fun. Thanks for making time. I'll stop the recording here.
All right.